Jake Haro is maintaining the couple's innocence in this new jailhouse interview. He denies claims of authorities who say that the baby had been abused by his parents throughout his 7-month-old life. Authorities say the baby then allegedly died of those injuries. Jake claims he's been cooperating with investigators, but Haro's cooperation is proving as frustrating as his wife's original story to police. Remember, she claimed a stranger assaulted her in a parking lot and then abducted the baby. Jake has assisted in the search for the missing baby boy. You can see him on the screen there in the orange prison jumpsuit out in that dusty terrain. But that search of that field turned up no evidence that the baby was ever there. Authorities now say, however, that they have, quote, a strong indication of where the little boy's body is. Meanwhile, outrage is growing over another case involving Jake Haro from 2 years ago and another baby of his, a baby girl who authorities say is permanently disabled by Jake's violent acts. Jake pleaded guilty to child abuse in that case, but despite the hideous injuries the 10-week-old baby girl suffered, he never served any time in prison. The district attorney says that if the judge had put him behind bars, the baby Emmanuel would still be alive today. Joining us now is Kim DeGonia, former assistant district attorney from Riverside County, California. Thanks so much for joining us. So the current DA, Mike Hestrin, had really harsh words for the judge in that previous Jake Haro case. Hestrin said it was, quote, an outrageous error in judgment and that a baby is now dead because of it.
He did, and I think Sheriff Chad Bianco said it best when he started the news conference and indicated that there were several opportunities and several people to blame for why baby Haro is no longer with us and why Jake Haro is not in custody. The reality is that had the Riverside County District Attorney's Office charged that actual complaint properly, we wouldn't be here. Jake would not have been able to even conceive Emmanuel Haro because he did not charge what is the most basic charge, which is the assault with a child under the age of 8 causing paralysis.
Yeah, he was charged with child cruelty. I mean, we've got the current DA blaming the judge in the case, and you're saying actually it was the former DA's mistake?
Correct. If the former DA would have filed the charges correctly, that would have tied the judge's hands. He would have been unable to sentence Jake Haro to probation. He would have had to have sentenced Jake Haro to life with the possibility of parole. The judge would not have been able to sentence him to probation. The charges were simply pled improperly. They were too low.
So what about what Jake Haro was saying? It's unbelievable he's giving interviews from jail. Is he admitting that his baby is dead now or not?
I mean, it seems to be that way. You know, he's taken the police on this wild goose chase to an alleged crime scene. That in of itself would suggest that he's admitting the baby is gone. Making these statements now, I think, is further just incriminating him, and people can read between the lines that he is telling us that baby Emmanuel is gone.
Authorities say they have a good idea of where the baby's body is. They believe that he had suffered abuse throughout his 7-month-old life, which is horrific to even think about. What do you think makes them think that? Do they have evidence?
You know, Elizabeth, I'm sure they do. I'm sure Mike Hestrin is very detailed when he does backgrounds, when he does investigations. I'm sure they did search warrants into Emmanuel's pediatrician. But the reality is, common sense tells us he injured a 10-week-old baby a few years ago. Horrific, horrific injuries, which indicate that he squeezed the baby, he shook the baby, he probably hit the baby with something. I mean, those are really traumatic injuries.
Yeah, let's just remind our audience, broken ribs on that 10-week-old baby girl, a fractured skull on that 10-week-old baby girl, brain swelling, a fractured leg. Kim, it's almost unbelievable to consider what you'd have to do to that tiny infant for her to suffer injuries like that. She's permanently disabled.
That's exactly right. She's permanently disabled. So we can look at Jake Haro's history of how he treats his children, and it's not a far leap to suggest that likely Emmanuel Haro is being abused in the same manner because his life was ultimately taken.
Yeah, this is a terrible, terrible case, but obviously we will continue to follow it as the authorities search not just for the baby's body, but for answers. This is really yeah, a lot of people are paying very close attention to this. Kim DeGonia, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.